Good morning. So how would you like to reverse your aging this morning so that you think, look, act, and feel younger? If yes, then you're gonna love today's Darren Daily. In 1978, Ellen Langer, a Harvard psychologist, conducted an important study. She gave houseplants to two groups of nursing home residents. One group was told that they were responsible for keeping that plant alive and that they had control over their daily schedule. The other group was told that the staff would take care of their plant and that they were not given choices regarding their daily schedule. Well, after 18 months, twice as many people in the group given responsibility for their plant and schedule were still alive as the other group. Langer took this as evidence that current biomedical models, which views the mind and body as separate, was wrong. In 1981, she conducted another experiment to examine further the mind's impact on the body. She and a group of graduate students designed the interior of a building to reflect the styles and conditions of the year 1959. Scattered about were black and white TVs, vintage furniture, magazines, and books from the 1950s. This structure would be a home for a group of 8 men, all over 70 years of age, for 5 days. When these men arrived at the building, they were told that they should not merely discuss this past era while living there, but act as if they actually were their younger selves 22 years earlier. She also told them, "We have good reason to believe if you are successful at this, you will feel as you did in 1959. From that moment on, the study subjects were treated as if they were in their 50s rather than in their 70s. Despite several being stooped and needing canes to walk, they were not aided in taking their belongings up the building stairs. Take them up one shirt at a time if you have to, the men were told. Their days were spent listening to radio shows, watching movies, and discussing sports of the current events from that period. They could not bring up any events that occurred after 1959 and referred to themselves, their families, and their careers as they were in 1959. The goal of this study was not to get these men to live in the past, rather it was to trigger their bodies mentally to exhibit the energy and biological responses of much younger persons. By the end of the 5 days, these men demonstrated a noticeable improvement in hearing, eyesight, memory, dexterity, and appetite. Those who had arrived using canes and depended upon the help of their children left the building under their own power, carrying their own suitcases. You see, by expecting these men to function independently and by engaging with them as individuals rather than old people, Langer and her students gave these men an opportunity to see themselves differently, which affected them biologically. So what does this tell us, and what can you do with this insight? Here's number one. Your mind has massive influence over our bodies. It is mind over matter. This proves the influence of attitude, of belief, and expectation, and how it affects our body's functions, and how we heal, and how we even age. So be mindful of your mental attitude and its belief systems. It's a matter of life or death. Number two, keep your mind vital and life force active. You need purpose. Proverbs has warned us from the beginning. Where there is no vision, meaning no purpose, people perish, as in die. It is like as soon as you start living without purpose, without courage, without growth, without striving, without stretching, as soon as you retire, the universe wants your parts back. You are essentially decommissioned and your parts recalled. They will be reallocated to someone who's gonna do something with them. So, you could say that Darren Daily is your lifeline. Here is where you can stay plugged into continual growth, striving to become better every day. That'll keep the universe from recalling your parts. Here's number three. Humans have strong motive to control their environment. When we lose control, we feel powerless and we give up. This is an important insight for leadership. whether leading in an office or leading in your home. Those you are trying to empower need to feel that they have power, that they have some control over their environment, over their choices, and over their schedule. By the way, as an aside, this control can be illusionary. Did you know that most elevators since the early 1990s, the close the door button doesn't actually work? Only with an emergency key inserted does it, but it satisfies people to believe that it does. The same is true for crosswalk buttons, door open buttons on trains, and most HVAC systems in office buildings and hotel ballrooms. Their air temperature is controlled centrally. The thermostats are dummy, but it still gives the user a sense of control. Thus, they're satisfied. A guy I know owns a large HVAC company said it is a common solution. He told me about an office with 30 women where they could never get the temperature to an agreeable level. It created a constant and never-ending passive-aggressive battle in the office. His suggestion? That they install 20 dummy thermostats around the office. Every one of them was told that each individual thermostat controlled the zone around themselves. He said, problem solved. Now that everybody has control over their own thermostat, there is no problem. Fascinating, right? So how can you make sure that your teammates, your kids, and all those that you seek to influence have a sense of control over their choices and actions, whether real or illusionary? Either way, know that people feel happier with the world around them, more in control of the events, and comforted by the apparent efficacy of their actions.